What's going on, guys? Albie with Albie Fitness Gaming, and you seen the title of the video, you know why you're here. Death and Taxes versus Green Black Elves. So this hand here is complete dog water, so we're going to mulligan this for sure. So this matchup, obviously we don't know that we're playing against this matchup just like every game. So we're just trying to mull for something that does everything we need it to do. This hand is good. It has a Giver of Ruin turn 1 as Path for removal. We have Thalia for disruption, and then we have Field of Ruin and Horizon Canopy, which are good utility lands. So I see an Overgrown Tomb. I'm thinking, okay, Inquisition Kozilek, this is a bad matchup. Green Black mid-range or Jun is what I'm thinking right now. So drawing the Aether Vial, I'm like, all right, well, at least we got an Aether Vial. They didn't play a discard spell. So we can avoid maybe losing a creature to Liliana of the Veil. But then I see this card. And then I realize, no, folks, we are playing against Elves. And I'm not sure if I'd rather play against Elves or Green-Black mid-range. Probably I'd rather play against Elves than Green-Black mid-range, because Green-Black mid-range has so many cards that help, that discard, 1-for-1, removal, they can get rid of your vial. That matchup is just, it's not fun. But here, they're playing Elves. And again, I already know we're going to be fighting from behind. So we need to start coming out with a strategy here on how we're going to win this game. Obviously, one of the best things to do right now is to draw Stoneforge Mystic. We have 2 vials, so we're going to be able to cast all the spells that we draw and equip our equipment. Against these creature decks where they're trying to go wide, I'm not a big fan of like pathing just any creature, but some creatures you have to get rid of early on, like the Elvish War Master, because it can get out of hand very fast. It also can be used as a win condition. And right now I'm just trying to slow them down, stem the bleeding, protect our life total in order for us to draw a Stoneforge or a couple of Stoneforges in order for us to continue, to get into a Batterskull or a Sword to start applying pressure. The Elvish Archdruid is a problem here, but we do have Skyclave in our deck, which does help us with this. It's completely fine here to use Horizon Canopy. We are extremely flooded. We're not super flooded, but we have 2 vials and 4 lands. And no Leon Arbiter, so we're not going to be aggressively Ghost Quartering or Field of Ruining our opponent. Thalia, not the best in this matchup. Only real card that is slowing them down from playing is Collected Company. Slowing them down. These decks generate so much mana that paying an additional mana to cast a Collected Company is not really going to do anything. Realm Walker, this is one of those cards that is a lot better than I thought it was. When they played it, I'm reading it, and I'm like, okay, I've seen this card before. I saw when it got spoiled. The Shaman of the Pack, that guy's really annoying. But anyways, I'm reading this guy. I see when he get printed. I'm like, all right, this is a pretty neat little card, and tribal decks. But then I saw it in action in Elves, and I was like, wow, this card is so busted in Elves because they can just generate all this mana and keep playing cards from the top of their deck non-stop. Jesus Murphy! Elves is a decent deck now, I must say. They're very frail to like Anger of the Gods and Mass Removal, because they do need a mass of creatures in order to close out games, and they don't really play anything that's disruptive. They're kind of like a combo deck in that sense. I I think people classify elves as an aggro deck because they're so fast and aggressive with attacking, but at the same time, they're kind of a combo deck because they have to have a lot of creatures to win the game, and they go off, right? Like they take one turn where they just go off and then they kill you the next turn. I don't know. I guess you could still call it an aggro deck, but I can also see it be considered a combo deck even though there's no infinite combo. So we're behind here. We do have the Flicker Wisp that can flicker the Arch Druid, the Elvish Arch Druid out of play. So that's what we're thinking here. So upkeep, we're just gonna do that. We're gonna try to get rid of some mana here on their end. Since they do play Collected Company, they could just use it here and Company, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, at least this forces them to have to cast Collected Company, and it gives them less options. That's how I'm thinking. Chances are they probably were going to cast Collected Company anyways, but let's see what they get off this company here. We're in really bad shape. Yep. There's that Shaman of the Pact. Heritage Druid, what a beating. And no Sentinel. So now, I mean, now with the Realm Walker, they can just like play a bunch of cards off the top of their library and go off. Elves seems like a pretty fun deck to play. I've never personally played this deck, but I can definitely see why people like playing this deck. If you like playing by yourself, this is the deck for you, my friend. So now we just sit back, let them do what they do. Now, to be fair, I can concede here, right? Like, we're probably not going to win this game. We're very far behind. We don't really have anything that's going to get us back into this game. But I'm one of those people when I'm playing sometimes and I see somebody's deck is working at full throttle. Everything is working fine with them. I know that people enjoy playing Magic, especially when their decks are doing what they want them to do. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to let my opponent play Magic. I'm going to let them play their deck and have fun. Because at the end of the day, this is why we play Magic, right? Is to have fun. Yeah, we want to win. Winning feels better than losing. But the main purpose is to have fun, especially if you're a casual player like myself. You're going to play the decks that you want to play. You don't care whether or not they're going to take you to Grand Prix or turn you pro. You play them because they're fun. So I'm going to allow my opponent here to have fun, do his thing, eat his cereal. But we are dead. Opponent can clearly kill us, but they're just continuing to cast spells. Oh man, 14 mana, like they have like 20 mana or something like that now. And they're living their best lives right now. God bless, opponent. Yep. So we'll block here, the biggest ones, and then we'll protect with the giver. what a beating, huh? What a beating. Negative 39. Let's go. Let's go. So now our opponent got to play their game. They got to decimate us, destroy us. Now we have to give them a receipt. We have to give them payback. We're going to pay them back. So now all I'm thinking in my head is like, all right, my friend. You had your fun. But that fun has to come to an end. So we're going to bring in the Fire Action Revokers. These are good against Elves. We can stop a lot of their shenanigans with the Revoker. Winds of Abandonment, of course. Mass Removal for creature decks that are trying to go wide. And of course we're removing the Thalia. Thalia does 0 to nothing in that deck. I mean against that deck. We're going to play first. Great hand. This is what we're looking for to get here. We have our Aether Vial. We have 2 lands. We have our Winds of Abandonment, which is going to be our end game plan. And we have a sword, which allows us to now grab another piece of equipment and have 2 pieces of equipment. We have Giver of Ruins to protect. Solid hand. Now we just have to hope that they just don't go super aggro and kill us. I don't care if they play a bunch of creatures as long as they're not playing anything too threatening. Because we do have Winds of Abandonment and we do have Stoneforge, which we can grab a Batterskull, which will gain us life, and just like in the Spirits game, just give us more time in order to play more lands so that we can hit them off with this Winds of Abandonment. Have a couple of pieces of equipment on board with a couple of threats and win the game from there. So that's the game plan immediately out of the gate. So Batterskull, like I mentioned, that's going to be able to buy us time. And now we're just hoping that we want them to play creatures, but we don't want them to get like super too aggro to the point where they just kill us before we can exercise our game plan here. Elvish War Master, really good card, man. It's one of those cards like I read when it got printed, and I just thought like, they might play this deck. They might play this card. Elves might play this card. And then after playing against it, I'm like kind of like, yeah, you play this card for sure. Same thing with the Realm Walker. That was another one that I read that was like, oh, this is a neat card, you know, slivers, goblins. But after seeing it in Elves, I'm like, wow, this card is very powerful. Alright, so now we can sneak in the Batterskull. We have all of our equipment here. We have 3 mana, so we're halfway there. And we have the Aether Vial in order to wipe them out. So we're in a good position here. Now they play the Elvish Archdruid. That's kind of a pain because that's going to accelerate not only their mana so they can use the Elvish War Master, which can put a lot of pressure on us, but also it pumps the team. So we're in trouble here. Llanowar Elf, that's good news for us. Nothing too crazy. They have 2 cards in hand. Hopefully it's not companies. So the plan is simple here. We're going to play Batterskull, and then we're going to play the sword, the Skyclave. This is going to allow us to gain 6 life here. Because again, we're trying to prolong the game as as we can in order for us to cast this Wind of Abandonment. That is our win condition right now. We already have our equipment set in place. So we do that, we come in for 6, and then we have a Batterskull with Vigilance waiting. So if they do attack into us, we're going to be able to gain not only block, but gain 6 life off of that. So I should be able to buy us enough time, at least 2 more turns, right? Which is what we're trying to do, assuming we draw 2 lands. But at this point, we're not trying to get overly aggressive, because our main goal is to just survive until we can cast this Wind of Abandonment. So we could have played the Skyclave earlier and just got in for 6. The reason I didn't was because I was hoping that they would like do some type of double block or something to try to take out the token, the germ, and then we can blow them out with the sword. But they didn't. They just decided, hey, we'll just take the damage. Because again, you know, we're just trying to slow them down and gain life so that we can cast this Winds. We're not really too concerned. Like, we're not going to kill them by attacking them, so that was the thought process there. Opponent has 3 cards. They have plenty of mana. They have the Elvish War Master, which they can activate here. It's depending how aggressive the opponent wants to get here. If they know we have Winds of Abandonment, I think they want to get as aggressive as possible, because it would just be a matter of time. But I don't think they have their sick read knowing that we have that card. So 2 cards in hand. They pretty much have all their cards in play. And there he is. There he is! The Realm Walker. So they're just going to be able to go off here and just play off the top of their deck. The card is so good in Elves. So good. It's kind of like a... what is that green card in Legacy the Elves plays that... Glimpse of Nature. It's kind of like a glimpse of nature, right? In a way. Maybe there's something there with that card. The more I think about it, the more I'm like trying to see like, yo, this card can be really busted in this deck. Possibly play your whole deck. Alright, so we draw another land. So we're 1 land away. We have the Sword of Fire and Ice. So we can get rid of a creature here and at the same time gain a bunch of life. So we're doing good here. By just looking at the board, you're probably like, man, you are so far behind. But we're actually not that far behind. The game is actually pretty 50-50 right now. With the assumption that like they don't know we have Winds and all we need is a land. Like, we're holding our own with this Batterskull. And this comes to show like how powerful Stoneforge is in these decks. Why this deck is good to play now. Stoneforge Mystic and Skyclave have really put this deck, in my opinion, as a tier 1. I mean, if you look at what we've drawn, like, we haven't really drawn anything too crazy, right? Like, we Vial, Giver of Ruins, Stoneforge. Reclamation Sage here. So they have a choice here of what equipment they want to kill. I think I mean, they're at 4, so I see why to get rid of the Skyclave. But I don't know, man. I think I go after the Batterskull. I think I go after the Batterskull. Yeah, I'm trying to think here, like, is there a reason to go after the Skyclave? I mean, we have Giver of Ruins, which can give pro green. So, I mean, I guess it doesn't even matter, right? Like, we can just attach the Batterskull. So here we can blow them out with Wind of Abandonment, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to use Wind of Abandonment because as badly as I want to use it to blow them out, I'm not going to, because we can win the game with our board state here just by giving pro green and swinging in with the Batterskull. Even if they would have killed the Batterskull, we could have just attached it to the Stoneforge and gave it pro green and won the game that way. I mean, they could have company. I guess killing the Batterskull would have been the better play on their end because it forces us to use all our mana. Well, not, yeah, it forces us to use our mana to either equip the sword or the Batterskull to the Stoneforge. They can then use the Collected Company, get into the Shaman of the Pack, gain some life, and then we can't Winds of Abandonment then. Where in that situation, it allows us to do that, and even if they run that play and gain life and not die to damage, then we still have the mana up to use Winds. So I think killing the Skyclave was not the right play in that situation. So we didn't use the Winds because obviously we don't want to expose that card. We don't want to show them that we have that card because we don't have to, because we were able to win the game without it. So now we have another solid hand. Aether Vial, Skyclave, Path, Stoneforge, and equipment, utility lands. What more can we ask for? So now we have a good target here for the Skyclave operation. So the question I think I'm pondering here throughout this game is whether or not I want to path that Archreach Druid right now, or do I want to save my operation for it. As you can see, I made my decision. We're going to go with the Stoneforge Batterskull. And the reason for that is we won the last game with the Batterskull, right? And they had the Archreach Druid. They had the Elvish War Master. And we still were able to win. So let's just continue going with what works. There he is. There he is. So opponent running on all cylinders here. They have some of their best elves in play. In my opinion, the best elves. The Realm Walker, Elvish War Master, and the Archreach Druid. So we are, you know, we're in a little bit of a trouble. They do have 2 cards in hand, but that Realm Walker, if they could draw into, I mean, I guess, yeah, I was going to say they need the Heritage Druid to really, like, go off, but the Elvish Archdruid is really good right now anyways. So right now I'm thinking, do we want to slam down this Batterskull, or do we want to go ahead and take care of one of these troublesome elves, right? Because they can alpha attack us with the War Master. They can completely go off with the Realm Walker, but in order for them to go off with the Realm Walker, they need the Elvish, the Yeah, the Elvish Arc Druid. But I decide that I value just pathing here, making sure they don't go off, and playing the Batter Skull. This is, in my opinion, the better play, because not only do we get to slow them down from what they're trying to do, but we're also going to be able to progress our board state, which is one thing you always want to do with Death and Taxes, because Death and Taxes, you're always like trying to disrupt your opponent and then kill them, right? Slow them down. This angle of attack that we chose to do not only disrupts our opponent from what they're trying to do, but it allows us to progress our board state. And then we're going to have Vile on 3. And there he is, folks, the Shaman. And the Heritage Druid. So now our opponent can pretty much go off the top. So now they're going to go after the Aether Vial. So we're going to go ahead and use the Leon Arbiter here. You know, this is, I don't know if you go after the Aether Vial here, right? You just got destroyed by a Batter Skull last game. You know I have it in my hand, and you go after the Vial. I don't know. I don't know, folks. I don't play Elves, so I don't know. I don't know what, you know. I would have played it a little bit differently. I would have said, you know what? Keep your Vial. I don't care. Play that Batter Skull, and I'm going to kill the Batter Skull, right? I'm going to kill your win condition. But that's me. Path to Exile, another strong draw here from us. So now, you know, we have a really good hand here. If we had a Giver in play, it would be better, obviously, but this is good. So knowing how dangerous Realm Walker is, we decide, you know what, let's take care of this card now. We're in a good position to win this game. We just don't want them to draw any more powerful cards. Or draw extra cards. So we do know that by taking that, they're going to be able to get in for a lot of damage with the War Master. But right now, we are taking away the ability for them to draw more cards with the Realm Walker and to generate more mana. So we're slowing them down. They do have the... So the only troublesome elf right now is the War Master, because they can pump the team. And they have a nice little team here. But we do have the Batter Skull. And, you know, this takes me back to, like, their original play. If they would have just now left us with the Vial, right? Like, what are we going to do with the Vial? Nothing. Then they kill our Batter Skull. Like, what can we do? We just lose. This is why it's so important to think about your game plan, you know, 2 or 3 turns ahead of time. I mean, they knew we had the Batter Skull. And this is not to criticize our opponent. They've been playing the game decent. You know, but I just wanted to point that out. Sometimes we get so caught up in the moment and we stop thinking about 2 or 3 turns ahead, or we'll have a game plan in place and we don't try to switch it up when certain information is when we receive certain information. So here all I'm thinking is, okay, we got this game in the bag. We just have to not die this turn. The only way we can die here is... No, we can't die here. What am I talking about? So now we proceed with the comeback. We're going to get the sword in play. Now we're going to be able to get in for 6, gain 6, and we're going to be able to get rid of their only threat on the board, which is the War Master. Four, 5, a 6. So they could draw into a Collected Company, into multiple Shaman of the Pact. That's an easy way to victory there for them. But we have played this game very well. Very well. Opponent did make a small misplay, like I mentioned earlier. And it's important to take note when your opponent makes misplays here, because it's very easy to win a game and then like forget about it. Like, oh, I won the game. I'm so good. I played perfectly. But you have to be realistic. Like, we're going to win this game, but why did we win this game? We won this game because our opponent made a small misplay. Otherwise, I don't think we win this game. So I take that into consideration for the next time I play against this matchup, right? Because again, it's very easy, like when you win a game, to just say, oh, we can just sit here and say, oh, I played so well. I'm the man. I'm like John Finkel times 100. I can't lose. I'm unstoppable. No, we're not. We played to the best of our ability. We played to our outs. We played our deck probably perfectly. But the only reason we won is because our opponent made a small mistake. That's why we won. Okay? That's why we won. You can't play with your ego, folks. You have to play with your mind. You have to think. We won because of that. That's fine. I'll take the win, but I'm going to learn from this win just like if it was a loss. We learn from our losses. We should also be learning from when we win. Did we win because we played perfectly? Yes, we probably played perfectly, but we also won because our opponent made a small mistake. If our opponent would have played perfectly, would we have won this game? No. But again, that's magic. But again, it's all about learning. You want to learn from every game that you play, win or lose. Learn from the game. Learn from the game that you've played. That's what's going to make you better. So take your losses as a learning tool and also take your wins as a learning tool. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative. I hope you learned something today. Don't forget to like my video and share. And again, thank you so much for watching, and peace out.